Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Mandy Michelle Show. I'm Mandy. Today we're going to talk about high value women and what they want and what type of woman they are. I usually talk about this a lot when I do lives on other platforms. I get a lot of people asking me questions like, what do I want? Why am I this way? Why am I single? And many times I get told that I have too much of an attitude or I'm too picky. Well, no. Am I sarcastic? Yes. Am I very blunt? Yes. Can I take it back as much as I give it? Absolutely, 100%. And I actually enjoy that kind of banter. It's very fun for me. So of course, I'm obviously not going to attract someone who doesn't enjoy that as well. But do I have high standards? Yes, I do. And I make the men I date stick to them. And if they don't, then I'm gone, because I don't want them to do anything that they don't want to do. And I certainly don't want to force somebody, because all that's going to do is end up holding resentment for me later. Because, well, I didn't want to do this, but I did it for you. So I don't ever do that. But I do have high standards, and I have boundaries. And a lot of the high standards I have really aren't that high. They are basic, mostly traditional roles I feel a man should have. Now, today in this dating world, I know there's a lot of, especially in the younger generations, and I'm not saying all, but there are a lot in the younger generations that maybe don't hold that same standards, such as a man pursuing a woman, a man being chivalrous, a man doing these things, simple things that I would want a man to do. I like it when a man pursues. Now, does that mean that he's chasing me and I am just constantly telling him no? No, of course not. But I do like the man to take more of the lead when it comes to that, especially in the initial stages of dating. I will, of course, show reciprocation because he is taking that more dominant role, pursuing me. And I know plenty of other women that feel the same way, so this isn't just me, I'm just using me as an example. They will take that role and pursue me, and I will reciprocate in my feminine energy. What we want you to do is we want you to make that first call. We want you to reach out to us. We want you to approach us. And then as it goes on, it's not, well, what do you want to do for the first date? It's like, I'm available Thursday night and I want to take you out to eat. Are you available Thursday night at 7 or whatever? Tell them this is what we're going to do. Make sure they're available, of course. Don't just assume that they are, and don't do it a few hours in advance. Do it a few days in advance. High value women do have a social calendar, and sometimes that social calendar is they just want to relax at home with a glass of wine by themselves. They don't want to feel like that they were a last minute choice. There's been plenty of men that have tried that with me, and I'm like, nope, don't want to. And they're like, do you have plans? I do. I'm at home. And they're like, well, if you don't have plans, meet me out. I'm like, nope, I don't roll like that. My schedule is just as important as yours. I'm also going to give you that same respect. I expect it in return. I expect you to know what you're getting with me. And I'm not going to be just a last minute plan. Now, if you're further along into the relationship, obviously that's different. I'm talking more initial stages of dating. So, of course, I made a few notes, so I didn't forget. But another thing, a high value woman, like, she loves herself and she knows her worth. She knows that she doesn't receive her love and her worth from others. She can do that all by herself. But a high value woman wants a man to add value to that into her life. And if he's not elevating that in her life, why would she need him anyway? And I know a lot of people get angry because they're like, well, why? You don't need a man if you're doing it all yourself. Well, yes, we're doing it all ourselves because we know we can. We're confident enough in ourselves to know that we can do it all the way by ourselves. And we've never been able to depend on a man in that capacity. Do we want to? Absolutely. We would love to have that kind of a partner that would do that for us. So we can step back and go, he's got my back. He's got this. I don't have to worry about it. But we're going to love ourselves first, which also brings you to boundaries and your high standards. I have bare minimum standards. If they don't meet, I'm done. I'm not saying they're a bad person, just saying they're not for me. We love chivalry. We still want you to open the door. We still want you to pay on the date. Now, I offer to at least pay the tip or something to let them know that I'm just not here for money. Now, with that being said, I don't require expensive dates, and most high value women do not either, nor do they even want that. They want things that you can't buy, which is a man's time, a man's effort, and a man's energy. Because if he's constantly on his phone with work or, distracted in some way when they're with her, or she can't hardly pull him away, or he makes plans and continually cancels because of some other thing. We realize certain things happen occasionally, yes, but I'm talking about on a consistent basis. Our time is valuable, and you don't get to continually set up dates with us and then blow us off and think that we're still going to be around all of the time. Again, there are some certain circumstances but that's where communication also comes in. The amount of, and this is me and other women talking, the amount of men that cannot communicate properly is astounding for us. If you tell us you're going to call us that night, you better. And if you don't, there should be a really good reason, and we should at least receive a text like, hey, I'm still stuck in this meeting. I apologize. I will call you as soon as I can, or can I call you later? I'll keep in touch and kind of keep you updated, or would you rather me touch base with you tomorrow? Again, those kinds of things happen. Keep the lines of communication open. Just do what you say you're going to do. It's not that hard. That is actual common courtesy of a human, not just when dating. And I have had men that have said, I'll call you later, I'll text you later, and they don't. And then when they reach out to me the next day and I tell them our communication isn't the same, I'm no longer interested, I wish you well. And they get angry, or they pinpoint, well, you could have called me too. Well, but I have called you when I told you I was going to call you. It's just a matter of you backing up what you say. And that's also why I don't enjoy it when men say, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Even if they are. Just show me. Show me. Because especially if it's a long distance thing and all you're doing is saying what you will do, but you're never doing it. In my mind, I'm kind of like, haven't seen it yet. Let's stop talking about it until you can prove it to me. And it goes the same way for women. Women shouldn't say what, they're going to do something if they don't. But it's very simple because, and this is a funny thing that my friends and I always say, it's like, I know that you were probably sitting on the toilet taking a crap at some point. You can send a text. Come on. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. So just do what you say you're going to do, because I'm immediately, and I don't even get mad. I'm not even mad about it. I'm not angry about it. I immediately am bored with them. Because I deserve that respect. I give it to my friends. I give it back to them. I give it to whomever. I'm not going to just say, I'm going to do something on it. Your word means a whole lot, and you got to back it up with actions as well. So another thing high value women do is we're very confident. And we're so confident in the fact that we know exactly what we want. We're sexually confident. We know who we are in our life. We don't need outside approval. We don't need external validation because we know who we are and we know what we want. I always say that others' opinions of me are none of my business. They have zero effect on my life at all. Now, those that I trust and respect, close friends and family, my inner circle, I value and I trust their opinions simply because I know they're coming from love, and whatever they're saying, whether it be constructive criticism or something else, I know it's not from a place of envy or jealousy or anger or any of those things. It's strictly just out of love for me to go, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. But for those people that do not know me on that type of level, I don't care what they think of me. And I've had several friends that are like, how do you do that? How do you know? I'm like, well, I mean, it's, if they're saying this about me, does it help me not pay my bills? Does it help me not take care of my children? Does it help me not take care of myself? No, none of that changes. So why do you care? Because a lot of times when people are talking negatively about you, number one, they probably don't know the whole story. Number two, they could be jealous of you, or they could be seeing you through the eyes of fear. Like they're scared to do it. And so they're like, why is she doing that? Well, it's just because they're scared of it. That has nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. So if somebody says or does something to me about me and it doesn't affect my life at all, I don't care. And I've had people like, she said this about you. I'm like, okay. Is she going to say something? I'm like, why? I don't care. She can think what she wants. 9 times out of 10, it's not true what they're saying. It probably more than 9 times out of 10. It's not true. I don't give a fuck what they're saying. I don't fucking care. And a lot of people are dumbfounded about that, and a lot of other people totally get it. I just don't care. And it's the same way with men. You know, some men, maybe I've matched with them on a dating site and they automatically have an opinion about me. Okay. Make assumptions about me. That'll be fun. And we're not going to get anywhere. And if you're going to judge, which brings me to the next one, judging others, if you're going to judge me, then I want you to eat not at my table. And I've dropped friends because of this. I don't do judgment at all. I don't know what another person has gone through to get them to that point. Am I perfect about all of these things? No, I'm human. But I've had several friends that have come to me for advice or just needed to talk or whatever. Not that I'm an expert on anything, but they just wanted my opinion. And the reason is because they were like, I'm asking you because I know you're not going to judge me. Because I don't know what they're going through. I mean, I may, but unless you're actually in their shoes, it doesn't matter. That's another thing a high value woman does, is she doesn't judge other people. She simply lives her life. And that includes other women. If another woman is doing the same thing you are because it worked for you, I'm happy for them. I'm glad. Good. I'm glad you saw that it worked for me, and I hope it works for you too. I'm the kind that if I'm elevating myself, I'm turning around, reaching my hand down, trying to help others as well. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that are going to stab you in the back. They can probably figure it out on their own. I'm still rooting for them. But those that truly just like, I like what you're doing. Can I do? Yes, absolutely. Let me show you how. I'm going to cheer other women on. There's enough room for everyone at the top. And that also goes back to when I do have these boundaries and I do have these standards and I'm looking for something very specific in a man. I want the man to be the same way. I want other women to be the same way. I want other men to be the same way. I want them to know exactly what they want. Because if you're just kind of, how do you even know if I'm what you want if you don't even know what you want? And sometimes the physicality isn't there. So for those that don't know, I'm tall. I'm 5'8". I'm thin. So I'm not the little short girl with the thick thighs and the curvy hips and all the curves and all that, which I know plenty of them. They're gorgeous. But I hear a lot of men talking about, I'm just looking for me a short woman with thick thighs and a big old booty, you know, and stretch marks, and they love all that, and that's awesome for them. But I think they expect me to get offended whenever they don't fit the physicality of what I'm looking for, which isn't a lot. I do want tall, and there's certain characteristics, but it's really only one or two. But you're attracted to what you're attracted to. So why are you going? I've had plenty of men that they get angry with me because they don't fit my standards. They don't fit the physicality of what I'm looking for. They don't fit the mental and emotional type of a person I'm looking for. And they get mad. And I'm just like, why would you want to be in a relationship if you're not what I want? I'm just always, so just know what you want. And don't be afraid to be, you can tell somebody you're just not what I'm looking for without being rude. And if someone tells you that, well, then move on. They're not for you. Stop wasting your time. So just don't get bent out of shape about it and know what you want. And, you know, a lot of times people get mad at me, and a lot of times, and then there's been a lot of men that are like, I can appreciate that. Thank you for being honest. And you know what? If you're that man that gets told you're not for me, your reaction can make or break you, because that girl might know somebody that you would be a perfect match for. So just take it as not an insult. Take it as a learning experience. Everything's a learning experience. I don't see anything as a rejection. It's a learning experience. And then you move on, because she might go, you're not what I'm looking for. And then if you're like, okay, I can appreciate that, you know, thanks for letting me know, then she could immediately, which has happened to me. Like I knew a friend that would be perfect for this one guy, and I told him that. And because of his reaction, there was no way in hell I was going to set his ass up with her. No. But if he would have been one of the guys that was like, hey, I can appreciate that, I'd be like, but you know what? I do have somebody that you might like. Then I would have set him up. But, you know, he missed out. So I'm just saying, it definitely makes a difference, because how you treat others, it does come back to you. So that also kind of goes back to the humor and the kindness. Like, a high value woman is kind. And I get told a lot that I'm a bitch. I'm just very blunt, and I'm very honest. And now, 20 years ago, I probably was a flaming bitch without me knowing. But I was also kind of in survival mode most of my life. But now, I'm still not a beat around the bush kind of a girl, and I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat something. I'm going to be very direct, and I'm going to be honest. But I'm definitely choose my words a lot better. But because a lot of times people aren't used to the truth, they think that I'm being mean. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth. High value woman is honest. High value woman is loyal. We're not going to judge. We're not going to try to degrade anyone. We're just going to tell it like it is. And it's not to harm anyone. It's not to hurt anyone. It's not to be rude. It just is. And I don't see the need. I don't have time for beating around the bush. I don't have time for lies. I don't have time for any of that stuff. I get bored with that stuff, and that's just really how I look at that. And that could be another subject for another day, is how you get over someone instead of just, you know, someone that you really had a lot of feelings for, how quickly, everyone's kind of always dumbfounded how quickly I get over them. There's a lot of different little tricks of the trade, and mine is I just get bored. And I'm just like, they're not for me. I'm totally fine. That's not to say that I didn't miss the good times or anything like that, but it's just like, moving on. I don't have time for that. And that's just all. Because you can't keep dwelling in that. But that's a whole different ballgame. But in saying all of that, most high value women are, and I would love to do another, episode with a high value man, just to have his perspective on what he thinks a high value man is. And you know, they can have different facets to a degree. But definitely I hope that the majority of men do not think chivalry is dead. It's not. And I've heard so many men who are chivalrous, they're like, they're having a tough time finding a woman who appreciates that to the point where women get mad. I can open the door myself. They're just trying to be a gentleman. They're just say thank you. You know, they should, because they want to do that. And we should appreciate it. Like, it's a kind gesture that a man could do for a woman. Why would you just not say thank you? Why are you angry about it? I never understood that, but I have heard that a lot. But I do wish the majority of chivalry would come back. It's extremely attractive, and it shows a man, it shows his confidence. And we don't like cocky men. Definitely can be a fine line between cocky and confident. And confident is where it's at. Confident is not always loud. You know, he just is. He doesn't have to have anyone tell him anything. But as far as what a high value woman is, what a high value woman brings to the table in addition to it, you know, instead of just being these, you know, she's also very nurturing. She's very caring. You know, she can kind of bring that emotional part for a man, because he is in his role of being protective and supportive and always thinking, and we know that you're always kind of on the go, and we want to provide that balance of being able to kind of allow you to relax, knowing that we've got your back. We're supporting you. We're here emotionally. We're here in however you need us. It seems as though we are putting you up on a pedestal when you're not around. You don't know how amazing we think y'all are, because y'all are so few and far between. And it's so difficult to find. I mean, I know plenty of men like that, but I know plenty of men that aren't even close. And I think a lot of times it's been lost in bad relationships, not being appreciated. I know how it feels, because for the longest time I was lost. That will be a whole other episode on narcissism, what signs to look for, how to get out, different ways, what you can do. But it can really take you down. But I think one of the things that high value men and women do is they're constantly working on themselves, and they're constantly looking for that growth, and they're constantly wanting to be better, do better, learn more, so they can be the best version of themselves, professionally, personally, emotionally, everything. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, not taking care of your mental health, if you're not taking care of all of those things, you can't be all of that high value stuff. You can't. You've got to take precedence so you can take care of those people that you do know, trust, and love. So I hope that kind of brings a little bit of light as to what a high value woman actually is and what we are actually looking for. Now, are there other high value women that have different aspects and different goals in relationships? Sure, of course. But the key basis is probably someone who respects herself, respects others, knows what she wants, doesn't need outside approval, but would love to have that partner in crime. I say in crime, but wants to have really that co-partner for life, whether it be just a long-term relationship, marriage, what have you. And this can really go for, you know, same-sex relationships as well. You know, it would depend on whatever role each one of you takes. And sometimes y'all might switch off. But I think those are key characteristics for both sexes in a lot of ways. And then they vary differently, obviously, depending on the relationship. But for the most part, a lot of times people mistake my confidence and me knowing what I want as rudeness and bitchiness, and that's okay. Those people just aren't for me. I'm totally fine with it, because I know it has nothing to do with me, because I know who I am, and so do the people in my inner circle. And so do all those other high value women. They know exactly who they are. They're not at all concerned about other people. They're not concerned about what they're saying about them. They're not concerned about what they're doing in their life, because they're focusing on them and their person if they have found their partner. And that's really all there is to it. So let me know in the comments what y'all think. If y'all have anything to add, if we would maybe like to branch off and do another episode focusing on one of these things. Again, like I said, I would like to find a man who would love to talk about this, you know, high value men versus high value women, what we each want, how we can play off of each other. I think that would be really fun. So once I find somebody to do that with, that would be, I'd bring them on, and that would be, I think that would be a pretty good one. But yeah, just let me know what y'all think. And if y'all have any other ideas of any kind of subjects you'd like to talk about, like, feel free to let me know. And if it's something I'm into, I'd love to discuss it. Like I said, I'm always open for anything. So I hope y'all have a great day. I appreciate y'all joining in, and I'll get the next episode out in the next week. So y'all have a good night. Bye.